Hello, everybody. Hello. How are you guys doing today? We are so excited that you are here. Thank you for joining me. My name is Michelle Green, and I am the founder of Kingdom Builders Credit Repair. I am also the founder of the official Financial Dominion Masterclass. That if you are not aware, listen, this is a class that teaches you all about your finances, all about your credit, everything as it relates to your whole financial portfolio. So, listen, if this is your first time watching, we want to welcome you on in. Let's make sure that you are subscribed, that you hit that subscribe button because every single Friday we are going live to talk to you about finances and about credit. That's what we come to you to talk about so that we can help you to get your finances and credit in order. And we always describe what credit is, just in case there's somebody out there that doesn't understand. When we think about credit, we want to understand that credit is your ability to be able to borrow something that you don't have the money for right now. You know how we get into the routine of going to find a job or starting a business, and maybe we just don't make enough money right now to buy that house or to buy that car or even to get a credit card, a department store card, or something that we need to purchase our clothes or keep up with our grooming because we like to look good, do we not? Okay, so we want to make sure that we have the ability to be able to borrow the money that we don't have right now, that we're earning through our income, that we can borrow the money from some sort of financial institution. So the reason why we always just explain what credit is because we know that there are several people out here that don't really understand how to play this credit game. And that is a part of why we come on live every single Friday from 12 to 12:30. So listen, we want to understand that in order for you to have credit, in order for you to gain a really good credit score, you have to understand that you're borrowing the money for a temporary period of time to pay back maybe a little bit more with interest. Hopefully, you don't have to pay back a whole lot of interest, but whatever your original amount that you borrow from a financial institution, you are responsible for paying that back. And once you pay that back, you build up a reputation of paying people on time, paying people back whatever it is that you borrow. Sometimes you want to go ahead and pay ahead of time outside of the terms and conditions of whatever it is that you have signed with that creditor to pay them back over 3 years, 5 years, 30 years for a mortgage. You want to pay them back early so that you can build up an even better reputation. So, as it relates to what is credit, it's something that everybody needs because it's right up there with oxygen. We don't have the ability to exist in the United States of America and mostly not anywhere in the world where we have the ability to eliminate having credit. We need credibility. We need the opportunity to be able to put something on credit that we don't have enough money to pay for right now, the whole balance, and we can pay it off over time in monthly installments. That's why in credit, it is called, when you borrow money, it's called an installment loan. It's called an installment loan because you pay it back over time. Even in the case of you getting a credit card or a department store card, it's nothing more than a loan that allows you to continuously go back and borrow again and again, depending on your credit limit. So now that we understand what credit is, we just want to make sure that everybody doesn't have a question in their mind about what it is. So now we can get into the topic about credit. But before I get into the topic about credit, if this is your first time watching, I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you would never ever miss an episode of the Kingdom Builders Credit Repair TV show and podcast. And listen, if you don't have time to watch the show, go ahead over to Spotify and make sure that you are connected by Spotify, by Apple Podcasts, or by Amazon Music by listening to the podcast. So that way you can still stay in tune with what kind of knowledge that we are dropping every single Friday. Okay? So listen. Let's give a shout out to our platform that streams us live to 3.6 billion viewers every day. This is called the CTR Media Network platform. We want to thank Dr. Tina J. Ramsey and Curtis Ramsey for allowing us to be a part of their network that's streaming to over 175 countries in the entire world. This is a significantly beautiful platform that is really catered to making sure that people grow and expand their message. So if you have a message that you're trying to get out, go on over to CTR Media Network after the show and get connected with them. All right. Now that we got all of our little plugs out of the way, we want to make sure that we get into this topic. Now, this topic today is about what do you do while you're waiting for your credit scores to go up? While you're in the process of maybe in the middle of credit repair services, or maybe you're just thinking about, I want to buy a house and I'm going to start doing the right things right now so that I can prepare for home buying, or I can prepare for a large loan like a vehicle loan, or I can prepare for, just being able to go and get a credit card or department store card so I can send my kids back to school with a nice, beautiful wardrobe. Okay. Maybe that's something that we're thinking about. Or even if we're trying to position ourselves for wealth where we're accruing investments or high yield savings accounts, we want to understand what is it that we're supposed to be doing in the meantime? Well, one of the major things as it relates to credit is people, when they come into our organization and they come into our credit repair program, they tend to get a little anxious. They get a little excited because we begin to teach you about the things, the do's and don'ts of credit. We teach you how to play the actual game of credit. And that is not something that everybody understands how to do. So, when it relates to us being able to understand what do we do in the meantime, what we do in the meantime is a lot of times we get impatient and we get to thinking about, like, I need to check my credit every day. So one of the number one things that I have found after being in this industry for over 30 plus years is that we tend to get too impatient. We get very anxious in the time where we're waiting for our credit scores to go up. So the first thing that I want you to know and understand about credit is you have to be patient. You have to have patience. You have to build up a character trait which allows you to understand that if you wait, it is going to be worth the wait. But that's only if you know what you're doing. Now, you can't just decide that you're just going to wait everything out and you're not actually taking an action. And when I say taking an action, what I'm referring to is you have to have credit disputes that are open and active in order for your credit scores to change. You also have to have accounts that are being removed at the same time for your credit scores to change. So if you are just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, just waiting around, and you are patient, but you're not doing anything about your actual credit, then that's going to allow no changes to be made. So the first thing that I want to emphasize is that we have to be patient while doing something with our credit. Okay. And the thing that we got to do again is that we have to understand that when you are in a credit repair program like Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, then there should be dispute investigations against the negative things that are on your credit, the things that are inaccurate on your credit, the things that may be duplicates items on your credit. Duplicate items could be your name misspelled and multiple names are presented on your credit report profile. It could be duplicate inquiries where you may have applied for something and it's a lot of of times that they have actually checked your credit for the actual inquiry. Or it could just be a account like a medical bill, or it could be a regular creditor, like a loan or a credit card or some sort that went into charge off or went into collection, and they have duplicated that particular account on your credit. So when it comes to us looking at what our credit looks like, if we are waiting for our credit scores to go up, we have to make sure that investigations are implemented while we're waiting. So that's why it's so crucial for you to be inside of Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, because that is the foundation of what we do here to help you to get your credit scores to go up. The foundation is to dispute the right items, the items that are going to help your credit score to improve. And it can't be done just by you just sitting there and twiddling your thumbs. So a open investigation has to be done. And also at the same time, you also have to have open credit lines that are showing the progress of how well you're paying your debt down. So you have to have accounts that are actually open and active, that you are showing some kind of activity on in order for the credit scores to change. You cannot just walk around and say, well, I'm not going to open up any new accounts. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to continue to pay on whatever I have. And if I don't have any open accounts, then my credit score would automatically go up. Well, that's a big old fat lie. Okay. That is not the truth of how credit works. If you don't have something that is open and active while you're waiting for your credit scores to go up, there's nothing to actually give you a credit score for. So, therefore, the only thing that your credit score will pull from is the negative accounts that are on your credit. And when I talk about negative, I'm talking about anything that is a late payment, anything that is a charge off, write off, and anything that is a collection account, as well as a public record. A public record is your bankruptcies, judgment, liens, and levies, your collection accounts, or your third party agencies that have taken over from the original creditor saying that they no longer want to do business with you. Your charge off write offs are the accounts that you have allowed to be 6 months past due with absolutely no payment at all. And your late payments are, of course, they can be 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, 120 days late, 150 days late, up to 180 days past due. So if you have any of those negative remarks on your credit, and you're waiting for your credit score to go up, but you're not actually under an investigation for any of the negative accounts, there isn't anything inaccurate, and you're just hoping and wishing and praying that the credit scores are magically going to just go up sky high, then you are believing a lie. You are believing something that is not going to actually take place. And this is one of the main reasons why we are in business, to help you to get those credit items disputed that are inaccurate, that are not supposed to be there, that are duplicates, that are things that just are not supposed to be a part of your credit. Period. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and a Novus, though a Novus is not a major credit bureau, all carry majority of the same information. But we do need to understand that even though they carry similar information, it may not be that the exact same items are on each one of the credit bureaus. That's right. There are three major credit bureaus and four credit bureaus that are usually checked, especially as it relates to buying a house or any type of large loan of any sort. Even when you are applying for things like utilities, such as your car insurance, such as your light bill, your water bill, your cell phone bill, your internet, cable, or any type of app, those are ways that your credit scores can change. And if no one is paying attention to that, then guess what? there aren't going to be any changes. So while you're waiting patiently to allow those scores to go up magically by themselves, that's not what's going to take place. Okay. Now, another thing that happens when we are in the process of waiting for our credit scores to go up is that we are not actually doing anything to help our credit scores to go up. So we practice the same principles that we previously practiced, which is that sometimes if we get into an emergency situation, we'll go ahead of the process and try to force something to happen. What do I mean by that? We tend to go and apply for credit before we're ready to apply for credit. Okay, we tend to go ahead of the ball game before we actually get the scores up to the level that we are supposed to have them at. For example, if you're buying a home, you want your credit scores to be between a 620 to 640 or higher. Now, my preference for every one of our clients is to get your credit scores up to 700 before you apply for that mortgage, because you want the best mortgage. You want the lowest interest rate and you want the lowest monthly payment. Am I right? Okay. So if that is the situation, then you have to make sure that you are waiting before you go ahead and apply for any credit. If you are in the process of buying a home, you cannot go and apply for a vehicle. You don't have the ability to be able to add an additional large loan anywhere from 20,000 and higher. You cannot go and add a loan of any sort, no matter if it's a vehicle loan, a furniture appliance loan, a personal loan. You cannot add any type of new credit to your credit reports just because you see that your credit scores have improved to a certain level. Maybe you have a 620 and now you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and apply for this vehicle because I need a new car, but I'm also applying for a house at the same time, and that does not work. So while you are waiting for your credit scores to go up so that you can actually apply for the item that your goal is set for your credit, then listen, you have to be patient enough to follow the instructions and not add any new credit unless that is a part of the process for improving your credit at that time. There are certain types of credit tiers. When we look at credit, we want to understand that credit is broken down into three different tiers. So a lot of times when we take the initiative to go ahead of the ball game, ahead of the instructor that's giving us the information about our credit, such as myself as a credit advisor, listen, what we end up doing is we end up causing our credit scores to drop instead of improve. And that happens because when we think about adding a new line of credit, there are different tiers of new lines of credit that we need to be aware of. You can only establish a line of credit based on the level that your credit is on. So if you have a lower level line of credit, then and your credit score is at a lower level line of credit, then you will be able to get approval. But do you know who those creditors are so that you can get approved? That's the major question. And is it the right time for you to actually go forward to apply for that particular lower level of credit? See, if you are out here and you're thinking, well, I got a 620, so I'm going to go ahead and apply for the upper class level of credit, meaning that these are companies that allow you to get credit when your credit scores are usually a 700 or higher. Then you go and apply and you get denied. You lose 2 points because every single inquiry takes away 2 points for every creditor that is affiliated with that signature that you sign. So if you're signing your name to a creditor or lender and you don't have the knowledge or understanding that this is going to take away points, whether you get approved or denied, y'all heard the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? Whether you get approved or denied for the item, you're still going to lose 2 points for every creditor that is checking your credit for that particular affiliated company. So, for example, if you decide that you want to go and buy a vehicle and you are having the credit check through Ford and Infinity and Dodge and all of these other brand name make and models, then listen. These companies are all going to take away 2 points from your credit score. So, one of the issues that we have around people who are waiting to get their credit scores to go up is that they jump ahead of the ball game. They do it prematurely. They go and apply for credit, and the credit item drops their credit score because there are multiple companies that are running a credit check on you. And if you don't get approved because you're not on the right tier with that particular creditor, because credit is based on lower class, middle class, and upper class credit, and you don't necessarily know who those companies are, then guess what? You're going to get denied, and you still don't have any dispute investigations in process to remove anything that's negatively hurting your credit or that's inaccurate or a duplicate. So we want to make sure that when you decide that you are going to wait for your credit scores to go up, that you are doing the thing that is required of you to do, and that you have the right mentor or guidance in how credit actually works for your particular situation. You don't want to just get out here and decide that you're going to try some things that are going to possibly take your credit score down way worse than what it was before. So we want to make sure that while you're waiting for your credit score to go up, you have to begin to practice some new skills. You have to practice waiting, and you also want to practice making sure that you're paying what you already have on time. The other thing that I want to emphasize, lastly, in the message today is that when we think about our credit, and we think about if we are in a program or even if we're not in a program, but we're waiting for those credit scores to go up, we want to practice some new principles around credit. So, when it comes to credit, one of the major things that we all know is that the credit has to be paid on time. But one of the things that we don't really practice around credit is we normally don't practice looking at the money that we bring in and the expenses that we have. So, as it relates to us waiting for our credit scores to go up, what we tend to do is we still implement the same type of practices that we had before we decided that we want to improve our credit. Well, if you want to have change, you got to make a change first. You cannot continue to do the same things that you were doing before. So, what this means is that you need to learn how to set aside a little bit of extra money for a rainy day. Okay, this is really important for us to understand as it relates to credit, because what happens throughout our lifetime of finances is all kinds of life emergencies. Okay, life emergencies are going to take place. So while you're sitting there waiting for your credit scores to go up, even if you are in our program or you want to get in our program and we're going to guide you on the credit itself, you still have to practice some things that are going to help you to stay the course, to stay in alignment with what your goal is before you get to the goal. So here's one of the things that I want to emphasize. We need to set aside a little bit of money every time we receive an income. So if you're getting paid bi-weekly, if you're getting paid every single week, if you are getting paid every day, you need to take a small portion. I would recommend about 10%. I know that might be a lot for you, but if you can't do 10%, do 5%. 5% of every check you get, every income that is placed in your bank account. Listen, put it aside in a savings. Put it aside in a savings, because what's going to happen is when the rainy day occurs, instead of you having gone through every single penny that you have earned, and there's nothing left for you to set aside or save or have for a rainy day, when the emergency actually comes up in your life, you will have money set aside if you are saving a percentage of every paycheck. If you're saving a percentage of every paycheck, this is going to require you to do some things a little bit different. Maybe you're going to have to cut back on eating out. Maybe you're going to have to set aside money so that you can make sure that you are not just going out with those friends every single weekend. Maybe you have to reduce your vacation time or the time that you are hanging out at happy hour. Listen, we got to understand that in order for us to really maintain our finances and our credit, that we got to prepare for the rainy day, because it's going to happen. Something is going to come up unexpected in your life, and then if you have spent every penny that you earn, how in the world can you maintain having a good credit score? It's never going to happen. Even if you get to the range of a 700 or 800 credit score, and the highest score that you can have is an 850, even if you get there, but you cannot maintain being there, then that is going to cause your credit scores to drop faster than you were able to get those scores up. Okay. So when we look at what we need to be doing in the meantime while we're waiting for our credit scores to go up, we got to understand that we need to start disciplining ourselves away from the habits that we have practiced over the time when we were not successful in having a high credit score. So, what are those practices? Look at your life and let's look at and see what kind of things do you normally spend money on? Where is the majority of your money going? And wherever that is, then we need to reroute or rearrange the money that you have going there so that you can start setting aside money for a rainy day. Again, the money is for the emergencies that are coming up in your life to allow you to maintain paying your monthly payments, making sure that your mortgage is going to be paid, your lights and your water, your food, your grocery bill. All of these things are necessities for you to be able to maintain a good credit score. So even though they are some of them basic living expenses, the basic living expenses, when they are jeopardized, equal a really bad credit score, because what happens is we stop focusing on the credit and we start focusing on our utilities. So if our basic living, such as our light bill, our water bill, is about to be cut off, and we are in between deciding if we're going to make a car note, or if we're going to pay the credit card bill, or if we are going to pay our mortgage, even, we will jeopardize our credit for the sake of the utility that has to be taken care of, because that is a major necessity. So we want to make sure that we are establishing new patterns that are going to allow us to be able to do the right thing while we're waiting for our credit scores to improve. And those patterns, those principles, those new skill sets that we have to develop can be monitored whenever you come in to Kingdom Builders Credit Repair. That's right, Kingdom Builders Credit Repair. What do we do here? We meet with you on a regular monthly basis to make sure that your credit and your finances are intact. So if you're not in our program, I need you to go over to Kingdom Builders Credit Repair right now.com and go over there and make sure that you click on Let's Talk at the bottom of the website and put in your information. Let's have a conversation about what we need to do so that we can help you to maintain the right principles, the right practices, the right patterns for while you're waiting for your credit scores to go up. Listen, I love watching our clients see that their credit scores are obtainable to reach a 720, a 850, a 800, a 750. I love seeing that. But this is a process, and the process takes discipline, the process takes time, and it takes energy for you to be able to really maintain having a high credit score. So come on over to Kingdom Builders Credit Repair so we can help you to maintain not just getting those scores up, but what you're doing in the meantime to maintain keeping those credit scores high. All right. Thank you guys for watching today. Listen again, if you're not subscribed to Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, I want you to hit that subscribe button and set your notifications so that you'll never ever miss another episode of the Kingdom Builders Credit Repair TV show and podcast. And if you can't watch us, go on over to Spotify so you can listen to us and still get this pertinent information about your credit and finances. Thank you all for watching again, and we'll see you next Friday from 12 to 12:30, and let us know what you learned from today's message by putting a comment below. All right, until then, take care everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.